Yeah, so I wanted to talk about the fact that I wanted to give my list that I thought of today of the top 10 best choices for Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s running mate. So I started thinking about this about a week ago when RFK Jr. I know a lot of people call him RFK as the initials. I'm not doing that because that's his father's thing, and I don't really want to compare him to his father. So yeah, he started promoting the idea that Aaron Rodgers could be his vice president. And I thought it was a bit funny since, when you see these third party presidential bids that get a lot of traction, and, like him or not, he's gotten a lot of traction. They have the opportunity to either choose like a serious politician or a crazy person who shares some of their beliefs. Like, for example, if you look at Ross Perot in 1992, he chose this guy, James Stockdale, who was an admiral or something like that. I mean, so I guess not a politician technically, but, someone in government who had some respect who could maybe be vice president. And I think the fact that this was Bobby's top choice kind of tells you the direction he's going in. I won't say. I'll let you make up your minds yourself. But according to The Nation, RFK Jr. said of Aaron, and I'm going to spare you the hacky Robert F. Kennedy impression because everyone else does it. But he's somebody who I think will help me get the country healthy again. He's 40 years old. He's focused on his own health. He's very aware of health issues. And, that's one of the things that's one of the key parts of my agenda is to get the country healthy again. I mean, first of all, that's like kind of a ridiculous goal to have, to make the country healthy again. I mean, I understand that America has some of the highest obesity rates in the world. It's not even one of the. I'm pretty sure America just has the highest obesity rate in the world. But with everything that's going on in the world right now, that's your main goal. And I know I'm taking it too literally because he's not talking about he wants everyone to start like jogging and, eat a salad every once in a while. He means like healthy in terms of don't be jamming those vaccines in your arms. So, I mean, I get that that's what he means, but still, it seems a bit ridiculous that that's your main goal. But then I saw, his uncle when he was president, he had like major health initiatives. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, that whole presidential fitness challenge or whatever you have to do in elementary school was something he started. So, first of all, screw him for doing that. Okay, I never liked doing that, but I guess I understand that it's a family thing, be healthy and all that. But, also when taking advice about health, and I know this isn't really fair, but I'm just saying this because it's funny. Would you really take health advice from a guy who talks like that and then a guy who fought tooth and nail to not get a vaccine? I mean, I don't know. I think that's kind of funny that out of all the presidential tickets, that are running this time, that this is the one that's going to be the ticket of healthiness and making this country more fit and healthy, whatever. I mean, you get my point here. But I guess, I don't know, to be fair, without going into it, I guess the other candidates probably can't speak much about being healthy either. But another interesting candidate that RFK Jr. was talking about for a potential vice president was the former governor of Minnesota and professional wrestler Jesse the Body Ventura. And, okay, I might sound a bit stupid for this. I know he's like a weird, goofy guy or whatever. But, I mean, he would be a better candidate than Aaron Rodgers, I'm not saying that necessarily he's qualified to be vice president. He served as governor for, I think it was he only served as governor for 4 years. Not that that's not a long, or, a decent amount of time. I mean, that's a full term. But, he was governor for 4 years of Minnesota, and that's the only political experience he has. But at least he has government experience, I mean, it's kind of crazy to say, but, out of the three people in this race, if you want to count this as a three-person race, there's Donald Trump, Joe Biden, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And besides Trump's 4 years as president, Joe Biden's the only one who has any political experience. So because of that, the fact that RFK Jr. would be thinking at all of choosing someone with government experience, even if it's not a lot, that's, better than some might hope for. So anyway, I thought it was kind of interesting that he would, those would be his top choices. But I guess, who else is there? Is there a lot of other people? And also I'll say for Jesse Ventura, at least I can't say them all, but apparently there are a lot of people in Minnesota who liked him. I mean, obviously enough to get him elected. He has some accomplishments to his name. And yeah, I mean, he believes in like 9/11 conspiracies and stuff now. But, at least he has some accomplishments. I'm not saying he would be a good vice president either. But, he has some stuff to his credit. But that's not also where things end for Aaron Rodgers. It wasn't really a great week for him last week anyway, because also according to The Nation, last week a controversy started Okay, I totally screwed that up when saying it. Last week, a controversy started regarding an allegation that he, quote, embraced a conspiracy theory that the 2012 Sandy Hook mass shooting did not take place. Rodgers denied the allegation, described the massacre as an absolute tragedy. Now, I mean, I'll tell you what, I don't really care about the Jets or many football teams, but it sounds like they got a real winner on their hands, And I'll tell you what, I actually, to show how much I don't care about football, I actually didn't even look it up. I just guessed he's on the Jets, okay? I honestly don't even think he is. I think he's like, what is he, the Packers or something? But he's one, I don't know, one of those green teams. And I'll say that I don't really care, but it sounds like they got a real winner on their side, you know? And do I believe that he said that? I mean, I don't know, honestly. I don't know if I believe. I'm not trying to like deny that whoever brought that out and said he did, but I don't know if he said that. Because to be fair, if we're going to make a ranking list of worst conspiracies to believe in terms of how kind of just messed up it is you would believe in that, I would put the believing Sandy Hook was fake over the vaccine conspiracies. So I don't know. I guess there are worse conspiracies to believe in. And, you know, I've known people who believe in COVID-19 conspiracies, and very few of them, I think, believe in something like, you know, Sandy Hook was fake. So I don't know. Did he say that? Maybe, maybe not. But the fact that it's a believable claim, that doesn't speak well to him, you know. It's one of those things where the fact that anyone would believe it at all just kind of shows that, you know, he maybe not the best person to be running for vice president. But I'll say if they're going to get a football, I mean, he isn't on my top 10 list, I'll just say right now. But if they're going to get a football player to be vice president, Tom Brady, I mean, he's retired, but, you know, get him in because, I mean, hey, say what you want about it, but he was good at football. You know, I don't know what kind of vice president he'd be, but I never heard any vaccine conspiracies from him. And, you know, I mean, he knows how to run things. I mean, those, like, when he wants balls deflated, they get deflated. You know, he knows how to take care of business. I don't think Aaron Rodgers has that kind of record to him. So, anyways, I mean, he may be a strong candidate for what RFK Jr. is looking for, but I think I could think of a few more, and so I named the top 10, in my opinion, best candidates for vice president. Because I think there are a few better ones. I spent enough time period. I mean, this just shows, you know, how lazily I put the show together. But I thought of this today. I just thought of some good candidates for vice president. I was able to bang out 10, you know. So here they are, the top 10 best candidates for RFK Jr.'s presidential ticket. So number 10 is a guy we've heard his name a lot. I actually brought him up a little. Oh, I actually didn't bring him up in the broadcast earlier. I thought I had him on the list of stuff I would talk about for this before, but actually I forgot. But number 10, this is kind of an obvious one, is Kanye West, because he has presidential ambitions and he's an independent, you know, just like RFK Jr. I mean, that's what's really important. I hear a lot of people who support RFK Jr. talk about how he's not like corrupted or bought by the system because, you know, just because he was born to one of the most influential and wealthy political families of all time, that means that he wasn't paid for by the system at all. You know, he's an outsider. So he's an independent, and Kanye and him, they both have really great radical ideas to bring this country forward. So yeah, he should be his vice president, in my opinion. Number 9 is a guy who he needs a job and he's currently available. John Hinckley Jr. For those who don't remember, he was the guy who shot Ronald Reagan. So, you know, real outstanding citizen, I guess, depending on who you're. I mean, some people would say that unironically, depending on who you ask. So, yeah, he needs a job. I mean, if you haven't seen, he's on YouTube posting videos of himself writing songs, and he's not too bad. So I think that he would be a good candidate. He's available. So, you know, I think Bobby should give some serious thought to that. So number 8 is another guy who kind of needs, or I'm not completely sure if he needs a job, but a guy who he's not as busy as he used to be, at least. Tucker Carlson, you know, because ever since he left Fox News or got fired, he may need a job after losing it on all that coin. And I never heard RFK Jr. say he disagreed with him on stuff, and I'm sure he does. You know, if you brought it to him, I saw him on Fox News once saying and by the way, they've both been on Fox News, so you know, there you go. There's another way they connect. But I saw him on Fox News can say he's not a conservative, Bobby Kennedy, which isn't really surprising since ever since he said he was running as an independent and not a Democrat anymore, there have been a lot of conservatives who are upset with him. So, yeah, I mean, Tucker Carlson's available. So, I mean, he has foreign policy experience. He's met with Vladimir Putin, you know, so why not? He's a good candidate. Number 7 is Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I'll say why, because first of all, he has political experience. He's been governor for nearly double the amount of times Jesse Ventura has been. He's a Republican, but clearly he's not too thrilled with the party because of all the stuff he said about Trump in the last 8 years. So, I mean, I think he's kind of on the fence. And when you want to talk about getting America healthy, you know, this dude was a bodybuilder. I mean, not without the help of steroids, but, you know, he was a bodybuilder. You don't get much more healthy than that. And, I mean, you know, if it came down to it, I know would be the vice president, but he could, you know, grab Joe Biden and throw him in a garbage can. You know, there's no way, no one can stop Arnold Schwarzenegger. And the same goes for Donald Trump, too, if you can even pick him up. So, yeah, I think that he would be a good candidate. Number 6 is someone who, I mean, this is an obvious pick, but, you know, I think that she's obviously vying for vice president. Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, she would be a great choice. And the only problem is I think Donald Trump wants her for his vice president, and so she's gonna have to choose her alliance. Clearly she likes Trump a lot, so it would be hard to steal her away. But I don't know, maybe whatever Donald Trump's gonna bribe her with, he can double it, you know. And if you want to talk about getting cross-party support, I know a few of the people I mentioned already are Republicans, but none of them are actively holding office. If you want to talk about getting some Republicans on your side who might otherwise vote for Trump, I mean, there you go. What better way than choosing, the heiress to the Donald Trump fortune? Number 5 is actually Katie Britt, because she's a rising star in the party right now, in Republican politics right now. She's also holding office. It could help Robert Kennedy in Alabama. And on top of that, I saw recently she was compared by some to being like Sarah Palin after her State of the Union response. I would not go that far. I wouldn't compare her to Sarah Palin. But at the same time, I saw there were some Republicans who were kind of embracing that and saying it would be cool if she was like the next Sarah Palin. You know what Sarah Palin was when she started getting famous? She was a vice presidential candidate. So the time has come for Katie Britt to be the next vice president. And I think it could happen. I don't know. I'm pitching this to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I think it could happen. So number 4, I mean, I've been naming a lot of Republicans, and here's a Democrat who I think, just because, he's available. Anthony Weiner, if you remember that guy. I mean, we haven't seen him in a while, and maybe if you're not keeping up with the news, you wouldn't know why, or at least if you weren't 10 years ago or however long it was. He can get some cross parties. I know RFK Jr. is a former Democrat, but that's the thing. He's a former Democrat. Anthony Weiner might be able to bring over some current Democrats, and also, I mean, he at one point people might not remember. I mean, I obviously was not following politics when this was happening, but people were talking about him as like he could be the next president one day. He was a charismatic guy. People thought he had everything going on for him. So what better way to get back in the spotlight? What would be a better political comeback than for Anthony Weiner to be vice president? So number 3 is a guy who's also, Anthony Weiner's not really looking to return to politics to my knowledge, but here's a guy who's looking to return to politics. And what better way to return than running for vice president? George Santos. You see, I've talked about him quite a few times on the show. He's my personal favorite politician. I believe in him. I think he's going to be president one day. And obviously, I can't predict these things, but I think he has a great chance of being vice president one day. And if you ask him, I mean, he's already served as vice president. He's served in a lot of elected offices. So why not? Let's see him return to power. I mean, he was president first, then he was vice president for a few years. Then he was president again, I think, and then he briefly served as the prime minister of Australia. So who knows? I mean, maybe he'd be looking to return. Number 2 is a guy who I think actually has most in common with RFK Jr. out of all these candidates, which is Alex Jones, because as we all know, he cares a lot about the environment. That's the thing I hear a lot from people who do like RFK Jr., that he cares about the environment. People shouldn't look at him as if he's like a crazy nut job because he cares about the environment. Well, Alex Jones does too. I mean, we all know what he thinks about the frogs, and he cares about those kind of things. He wants a return to, to nature, and I think that Alex Jones would be a great candidate. I don't know if Bobby's tapped him yet, but and it's not that far away. He's been on Fox News. He's met with Jordan Peterson I've seen before. I mean, it's just 1 degree of separation. I don't think it's that crazy. I think he should look into it. And number 1, the best possible candidate for Bobby Kennedy's election campaign for president, I personally think, is any member of the Kennedy family, if he can even find one who will endorse him, since those are few and far between. Because, I think that's the biggest bridge he has to build right now. Because I saw the other day they did some photo shoot with Biden at the White House or something where they're kind of trying to show that they don't like RFK Jr. So what better way to amend fences by bringing him on? I mean, that would I think that would be great. I think that would be a great choice for vice president. And like I said, if he can even find one who supports his candidacy, because there aren't a lot. But if he can find one, I think that would be great. I mean, my best guess would probably be let's say, or my best bet would be what's the one who just served in Congress and tried to primary Ed Markey in the Senate, Joe Kennedy III. He's his nephew, I believe. He's a younger guy. I think he's only like 42, 44, something like that. And he's served in politics before. The only problem is he's currently serving as like an ambassador to Ireland or something in Joe Biden's White House. So it might be a bit hard. There might be a bit of bad blood between them, since I don't think Bobby's a big fan of any of the Kennedys who aren't currently endorsing him. So I don't think he's a big fan of many of the people in his family.